In the last 2 weeks, President Muhammadu Buhari has continued to visit some states of the Federation that have experienced disturbances ranging from attacks by suspected herdsmen, terrorist activities, banditry, and other forms of crimes. The president's visit started from Taraba, then moved to Plateau State, Benue, and then to YOBE State. In all the states visited, Mr. President commiserated with the victims of the crisis and assured them that he was doing his level best to safeguard lives and properties of Nigerians. What is the significance of these visits, and how do they impact the return to peace to these troubled areas? That is the focus on Nigeria Today. I am Segun Ojelade. We're now being joined in the studio by our regular analyst, in-house analyst, and public affairs commentator, Jide Ojo. I welcome you, Jide, to the program.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Good evening, Nigerians.
I also have with me Mr. Athanasius Okon, Dr. Athanasius Okon. He is formerly the national coordinator of the Buhari Friends organization, but has been elevated to the position of international president of the group. Athanasius Okon, I welcome you to the program.
Thank you so very much for inviting me, and good evening, viewers.
I think I will start with you, Mr. Okon. How will you assess the visits of Mr. President to some of these troubled communities?
Well, it's a good development, especially concerning public opinion poll, that the president should be everywhere, which is not possible. When you look at 180 million, approximately, Nigerian population, you don't expect one man to be everywhere. It can't be possible. But he can do that at intervals, and it can be at the same time, no matter the situation that would occur to warrant such visitation. But this particular one is unique and therefore necessary, because the president is the father of the nation. Just like in a nuclear family, you have the leader of that family being a man. So in the event of having children and problems ensued among the children, then when the owner of the house comes, that is the leader of the family, the father, suddenly all the
warring factions,
yes, will now mellow down, because they know the owner of the house has come. Certainly you must bow. So Mr. President's visitation to these places, I think, is a synonymous to that, and therefore, as he has gone in person, certainly there is high prospect for peace.
Okay. Now, Mr. Ojo, do you share his sentiment?
Very well. As the father of the nation, where there are problems, where there are celebrations, where there are issues, we want to see our president. About this time last year, we were all praying for his health. He was down and had to go on medical tourism. Today, for the past 6 months, he's been ill and healthy. He's been about, he's been globetrotting. He's gone to many African countries on business, on issues affecting the nation. He has gone to the UN, he has gone to African Union, he has gone to ECOWAS meetings, he has gone to Chad and neighboring countries. So when you are doing all these international shuttles and there are issues in your home, you are also expected to put in appearance. We are not saying he's the one that will go and gun down the terrorists.
The terrorists.
He's not going to be the one to win. No, he's not going to do all of that. There are foot soldiers. He's the commander-in-chief. And as the commander-in-chief, all he does is to visit his men on the battlefront and give them order. And beyond giving orders, you need to also identify with the victims, or what we call survivors of crisis. You also need to be seen mediating.
Okay.
and ensuring that as a father figure, because President Buhari is not a father figure euphemistically. I'm not talking of him being father of the nation. Even age-wise, he's older than many Nigerians. I think he's 74. So he's advanced in age, and in our tradition, we respect elders.
Yes.
So where there are issues, elders, you know, in my part of the world where you are also from, there is a saying that an elder cannot be at home, and the head of a child will be warped. So that is the kind of role, mediation, giving words of comfort, identifying with survivors of crisis. That's the kind of thing we want to, and he has started. And we appreciate him for that.
Now, Attention Sukun, the president, like he said, commiserated with the victims and directed security agencies to double up their actions. Do you see this changing the tempo of activities at all levels, especially security-wise?
There's no doubt about that, but then, from what I said earlier, if all things were to be equal, you don't need Mr. President to be everywhere for things to be done right. And part of our own platform, we have advocated the proper templates for leadership recruitments in Nigeria. What I mean by that is that square peg should be put in square holes. The president's function is supposed to be that of, if possible, directive, while implementation should be done by other people. And it's so unfortunate where people are given responsibilities to do their work, and it's expected of them to do it well. And where such is not forthcoming, what do we see? You now see the president being called upon to go there. Ordinarily, it shouldn't have been so. In crisis management, are great. We are so lucky to have gotten a man that have been in the military before now. Although in civilized climes like America, I think it's a major determinant factor in becoming a president in the first place. To us, it's an added advantage, because he's a professional in the field of crisis management. But the only wahala is where those he has dedicated such assignments to handle on his behalf are not doing it well. Because if they are to do it well, there's no justification whatsoever for president to leave the seat of government to go to places like that for what we call it, crisis management or conflict resolution, if you like. But be it as it is now, so good so far. The president has lived up to that expectation as a good father, going in person. So the security operatives and their leaders will now take a cue from there, and perhaps will sit up and tighten their belts and believe that they should do their own work well, so that it's not all the time the president will be calling in such situation. So what the president is expected to do, my own opinion, is to sit down, look at the activities that's on his table. A lot of bedevil him on daily basis. It's a very equivalent task to be a president of a country, because so many things come. So where the other functional aspects of governance can do their work perfectly, as expected, Mr. President will just be sitting there, approving documents as they bring to his table, treating files. But in this case, we have seen some challenges in regard to leadership recruitment, as I said earlier. Certain people, as far as I know it, are not so competent enough in respective places they are. Because these people are working for Mr. President on process basis. If you are Chief of Army Staff, you are doing that on behalf of Mr. President. He believes you are competent to handle that on his behalf. He says he's the Commander-in-Chief, no doubt about that. He gives you directive. That is where it goes beyond your purview, the areas of constitutional responsibility, as case may be. You may seek the approval from above, and that is Mr. President to do that.
Okay. Now, Mr. Joe, during the visit, Mr. President held consultations or town hall meetings with the relevant stakeholders. Do you see this having impact on the situation in these troubled spots?
Definitely it will. Let me say something. There doesn't need to be crisis for the president to visit his people. We need to see our president. It's part of the responsibility of that office. You can't be in your cocoon in ASURED and be governing Nigeria. Those who voted for you, because when you were campaigning, you went to them. You didn't stay in your house to campaign and say, you should know me by now. I've served as head of state. I've served as petroleum minister. You went out to the people. You solicited their votes. So, in good time and in bad time, you need to feel the pulse of the people. You need to hear directly from them to know whether your aides surrounding you are even telling you the truth. So that point has to be made. And like I said, there doesn't need to be crisis for you to go visiting. It's part of the terms of office of the president to even go on site inspection of projects. You understand? There's a road project going on somewhere in the country. You can fly there, make a whistle stop, talk to the contractors. Have you been paid? You know, you are the chairman of the Federal Executive Council. You know projects that are awarded. You can summon unscheduled visit. Minister of Works, you and I are going to Adamawa tomorrow. There's a road project there. I want to know the state of things. You know, it's part of the terms of office. It doesn't have to be doing conflict resolution or managing crisis all over. It's just that where such issues happen, you also need to be seen to identify.
You've made your own point. I'll go to my own point now.
You know, your point has been I've answered that in the first interaction. I said earlier on that yes, it will bring about peace because people respect age, people respect office. Those two things are very critical in leadership. Your age and your office, the office that you are occupying. Even if you are young in age, but you are occupying the seat of a president, people are bound to respect your view. And you could see that everywhere the president has gone, there have been tumultuous welcome for him. The stakeholders that he met, he listened to all the stakeholders. It's not like he's listening to one group at the expense of the other. All of them are summoned to a town hall meeting. Okay, what are the issues? You hear from the right. You know, even in law, you know, there is a principle of fair hearing. Even when they say these are the aggressors, these are the perpetrators, you want to hear from both sides. It's not going to sit in judgment there and then, but it also helps in decision making to hear from both sides. So in conflict resolution, you need to listen to all the parties. And he's listening to all the sides. He's also making commitment. He's also ensuring that he's giving orders for his aides who are his foot soldiers on what they need to do. Okay. Recall that before the crisis, we didn't have military exercise in the Northeast and North Central. We had in Northwest, we had in Southeast and South, Operation Crocodile Smile, Operation Python Dance. But now we have Operation Cat Race, Yapatuma, as a result of response. Even while he was here to visit, he was giving orders. What the icing on the cake that the visit has done is it has given him first-hand information about what he has been told, and energize and activate and strengthen the resolution of the conflict. Now,
Mr. Okon, before we go on a short break, he spoke about the tumultuous welcome Mr. President received. What does that say about the Buhari presidency?
Well, I wanted to add to what he said earlier in regards to the need for the president to go at least to visit his people. Nobody will say no to that. There is a saying in my place, you don't take the pot and go to the stream. The pot is stationary. You look for other material, basins, buckets, to go and fetch water and come and put in the common pots for the family. The moment you carry the main pot out of the base, something is wrong with the system. So what I'm saying, the president, as you must have seen on television, every point he visited so far, you can see the crowd. giving you the impression that this man is, after all, very popular. Yes, I would have loved Mr. President to visit his people, as my brother just said. There's no wrong about that, being a leader. Such visitation should be with celebration, not when there is crisis. He should be visiting places where the governors will call him, come on commission projects. In conventional management system that is effective and recognized all over the world, sir, there must be division of labor. Am I right? And in management by Peter Drucker's principle, MBO, management by objectives. How do you achieve that?
Yes.
Through division of labor, sir.
Okay.
That division of labor implies that Mr. President delegates his functions to his heads because he can't do everything alone and he can't be at every time.
Okay.
It's whereby those people are not fit enough, doing their work well as expected. Then you now have diminishing returns.
Okay.
And when diminishing returns set in, crisis is one of them.
Okay. Okay. Now, thank you for that. The program is Nigeria Today. We're taking a look at Mr. President's visit to some states that have been witnessing some violence lately. We will take a short break. My guests are still around.
Coming up on NTA News 24, Nigeria Today, 7:30, Monday to Friday, with exciting anchors on topical issues. Inspirators, a search for those who inspire others. Business 24, a business magazine program. Late edition repackaged. Fresh and exciting programming on NTA News 24. Stay with us.
You're welcome back. The program Nigeria Today continues on Mr. President's visits to some states that have been under insurgency and clashes lately. My two guests are still in the house. Mr. Jideoju, during the visit, Mr. President admonished traditional rulers and religious leaders to take ownership of the search for peace in this community. How important is this kind of call, and how should those concerned, the respected members of these communities, how important and what should be their response to this call by Mr. President?
First and foremost, we must know that power is transient. If you are a governor today or you are a president today, you will not be there forever. Those community leaders have a lifetime ownership of their throne. And I'm here talking about the emirs, the kings, the traditional rulers in those communities. And that's what one thing the president said that is very instructive. That look, the governor and I will serve at our stamp and we will go back to our homes. But you will be there because the people have appointed you to be kings and leaders over them. And so they need to take ownership of that peace process, because it's better to live in peace. It is when there is peace that there will be development. There can never be development where there is anarchy, where there is chaos, where there is maiming and killings, where people are living in IDPs. Look at the number of IDPs that this crisis has created. So many of them, hundreds of thousands. I think in Benue alone, they said there are about 500,000 IDPs. Or 500 to 700,000 IDPs.
Okay.
In Benue alone. And multiply that by the one that is already in the northeast, the one that is in PLATEAU, in Taraba. So we have millions of people in these IDP camps who have lost their jobs, who are not contributing anything to the development of their society. Rather, they have become parasites when they actually should be contributing to national development. So we need to do all to bring back peace. Because it is, like I said earlier, it's when there is peace that we can even talk of civil liberties. You know, today, if you are in IDP camp, you cannot say that you want to go visit your friends, or you want to go do funerals or weddings Those are when there is peace. You say, oh, my old man died. We need to go and do Ashwebi and then give a befitting burial. Is it in a situation where you are trying to even save your own neck, where you are hiding in an IDP camp? So when there is peace, everybody lives to enjoy. You yourself, you are able to practice your trade. Whether you are a businessman, you are a civil servant, you are a private entrepreneur, that's when you can apply your trade. So for that alone, we must enjoin and encourage those community leaders, opinion molders, to strive for peace, and negotiation is about give and take. In negotiation, you must strike towards a win-win solution. And that is what can guarantee lasting peace. So, while government will provide the instrument of coercion, the stakeholders too must meet to say, look, we are brothers and sisters. Like Lagbaja sang many years ago, Kulu Temper, you and I not be enemy. No, if we have peace, we are having development.
Now, Mr. Tanesho Sokun, do you think the expectations of the people in these areas where we're having these clashes, do you think the expectations of Mr. President's visit has been met? Do you think things will now begin to take a new turn for the better as a result of Mr. President's visit?
Certainly, it's very possible because the language he might have used to speak to them will determine a lot of things to happen tomorrow. Because Mr. President is a kind-hearted man. He's very humble. So his presence at those places would a great deal affect his no small measure positively. What I mean there is that he is going into appeal, and that he has been doing with humility. So by so presenting himself as a humble person, appealing, being a father, I think there is that reciprocity from the people that this man has come himself, appealing to us. Then I want to add again the issue of ownership. I said to the people there, I think he behoves us now to strengthen the traditional institution more than as ever before in the country, and even if possible the need for government to integrate them into governance proper, because before now in the traditional African setting, conflict resolutions used to evolve around that setting. And there is one thing I will not hesitate to mention before I leave here, is that we have one problem in Nigeria and other developing countries, the reward system. Until we learn to appreciate the significance of the reward system, you punish offenders accordingly, irrespective of those that are involved, according to the procedure of the law. Then motivate people that have done good things. The moment you motivate me for doing what I'm doing, which is good, others will see it and follow me to do good. Then when others are doing bad, and they have violated the laws and due process of doing things, and they are punished accordingly, you will serve as deterrence. People will also learn from there. So we need to go for the issue of reward system.
In one or two sentences, how can we enhance peace or engender peace in some of these trouble areas in one or two sentences because of our time?
Giving people sense of belonging. The very moments you make people to know that we are together going towards a common cause, without segregation, without nepotism, without discrimination, without saying you are a Christian, this one is a Muslim. When you carry people along and let them know they worship one God, we were created by the same God, call him any name you like, but let it be known that it is one God that created you and I, and so you carry us along like that, then the problem will fizzle away.
Now, Mr. Oju, you want to contribute to that, because the whole essence of what we are doing is to enhance peace or bring back peace or to restore peace in these trouble areas. What are your recipe?
My recipe for peace is justice. There must be justice. Those who have masterminded the killings and maimings of these innocent souls must not go unpunished. There must be even-handedness in handling this crisis. The aggressors must be identified and brought to books. Right now, you know that there are insurgents that are currently being tried, and that is reward, carrot and stick. those who are ready to surrender, they are being rehabilitated, and those who are hardliners are being, those who are recalcitrant are being there. The same thing must apply to all these people fomenting crisis.
Okay.
That's one. One, punish the offenders, reward and compensate the victims. 3, have a legal framework to, because former president said something when he visited BENUE last week. We must go to the root cause of this problem. What is the root cause?
Okay.
Identify those root causes and let there be political will to deal with it decisively.
I must thank you for Mr. Jide Ojo for all that you've said on this program.
It's a pleasure.
We will not be able to continue because of our time. Thank you very much for obliging us this time around again. And then Mr. Tenosho Sukun, I wish you very well. I wish you well in all that you do.
Yes.
This is where we call it a date on the program Nigeria Today. You can watch this program live and every day and every time on our YouTube address www.youtube.com/NTA News 24. This is where we call it the date. Like I said, I am Segun Ojela. They do join us tomorrow for another package. Bye-bye.